Welcome to Simply Stylish DIY, where we take ordinary to extraordinary.
Hey y'all! Welcome back to Simply Stylish DIY. Today we will be making adorable bee creations. These will be a beautiful, fun addition to your decor. We will be using budget-friendly supplies while maintaining a high-end look. Without further ado, let's get to crafting! DIY number 1. Fabric-covered bee honey jar. For this DIY, you'll need one of the mason jar shaped wood blocks from Dollar Tree, florals of your choice, some raffia colors of your choice, also a piece of material that is bee themed, a sponge brush, Mod Podge, and a button. I picked up this mason jar that was for St. Patrick's Day at Dollar Tree. I wanted to use this for another upcoming craft. I thought this would be a perfect opportunity. So we're going to make this bee themed. I first tried to pull off the St. Patrick's Day sticker on the front, but it was going to take too much time. You could also sand this off to get the glitter off, but I went ahead and decided to take off the raffia bow and the 4-leaf clover on the front. I could put it aside to use it for another DIY, and then I'm also going to remove the piece of lid at the top that is silver, and we're going to take that and put that on the back side and go ahead and decorate the opposite side. I picked this bee material up when Joann Fabrics had their lowest price of the season sale. I think I got it for like 94 cents for this fat quarter. Walmart also has some really pretty bee material. I haven't seen any of the bee designs at Dollar Tree. I'm sure maybe later in the summer they will get some, but I chose to use this for this project. I'm going to go ahead and open it up and just start it in one corner, making sure that I have enough to wrap over the edges and the bottom. And then I'll go ahead and cut that in a square so we can put that on with Mod Podge. Just make sure that you put it up high enough so you can put that little topper back on. I'm just going to use my gloss Mod Podge for this craft, and actually for the next two. I'm going to take some of it, put it onto the mason jar shaped block, put a nice coating on, don't make it too thin so we can put the material over that. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the edges also, and then we'll add some more to that in just a minute. Make sure you put it in the middle of that piece of fabric. Take your fingers and just pull it taut so you get all the wrinkles and creases out, and then take your hand and make sure all that is mashed down and smooth. After you get the front completely covered, I'm going to go ahead and add some more Mod Podge to the edge, and then after you get that on there, a nice coating, I'm going to take that and wrap that around to the back side, taking my fingers and pulling it taut so you get all the wrinkles and creases out of that also. Repeat that for the other side, just pulling it tight so you don't have any excess material. And then at the bottom, we're going to wrap it kind of like a present. We're going to take it, put some Mod Podge on the bottom, fold up your edges, and then take that point and tuck it to the back. And then we're going to take hot glue and glue that down. Flip it over and just cut off your excess material, and then take your hot glue and glue that down so it doesn't have any chance of coming up or lifting. If you're going to give this as a gift or even put it in a shop to sell it, or if you have a booth that you rent, this would be a really cute project to do for that. If I was going to do that and not use it for my own home decor, I would go ahead and probably get a piece of felt or even a piece of cardboard, cut out your shape, and cover that up on the back. You could also paint the cardboard just to make it look more finished. I wanted to make my little decor piece as more of a shelf sitter. You could put a hanger on the back if you wanted to hang it on a wall, but I didn't want it to keep falling over or have to prop it up and it fall off the edge. So I'm going to take these towering blocks and put 3 of them together and then glue here to the bottom just so it gives it a little support to lean back on. Next, I'm going to take some of my gloss Mod Podge and put a nice coat over the piece of material just so it has a glossy look, and also to make sure it has a good seal. Next, I'm going to take that little topper that we took off of the front side, put some hot glue on it, and then we're going to position it back over top of the material at the top of the mason jar. Just be careful because the glue is hot and it could burn your fingers from the other side where it heats up the metal. After I'd set it up, I wanted to have just a little bit more stabilization to that, so I went ahead and added 2 more Jenga blocks to the back just so it didn't lean. Next, I'm going to take some black chalk paint and just go around the edges of the sides around the metal top. I wanted to accent the edges of the front too, so the leftover black chalk paint that I had on my sponge brush, I'm just going to take it around the edge of the material once it's dried with the Mod Podge. I did the same thing to the edges just to give it a little bit of character, and then just run it over the metal just to take out a little bit of the shine to make it look a little more rustic. Next, I thought it would be kind of cute to put some dripping honey coming out of the jar because the material looks like it's a honeycomb and little bees are working in that. So I went ahead and took my hot glue. I'm going to run a line across the top like it's coming out from underneath the lid, and then I'm going to take it and make some vertical lines like it's dripping down from that, and then we'll go over that with some paint. This just gives it a nice 3D effect that makes it look like it's more realistic. While that honey drip hot glue is drying, I'm going to mix up some paint. I'm just going to use some water-based acrylic paint here in the apple barrel from Walmart. I'm going to use some yellow and just a little bit of orange to try to achieve the look of honey. I made it just a little bit too orange, so I'm just going to add a little bit more yellow to it to tone it down and try to get that honey color. Next, I'm going to take just a small little brush and go over that hot glue, and it takes about 2 coats. Just make sure that you have it covered good. The brush that I had the Mod Podge on from applying the fabric to the front and the sides, I'm going to take that leftover Mod Podge and go over the honey drips after it has dried just to seal that in and it won't peel off. I picked this colored raffia up when Walmart had it for Easter. I thought this would be a pretty colors to put together since the honeycomb has both of these colors in it. So I'm going to take those and make a long string with that, and I'm going to wrap it around the top of the jar. At first I was going to put it at the bottom of the lid, and then I realized I didn't want it to block the honey drip, so I went ahead and just tied those 2 pieces in a knot, but I ended up raising it up here to the middle so it did not block the honey drip, and you can still see that good. I'm going to tie that in a knot so we'll have some pretty tails hanging down to the edge of the jar at the bottom. After I tie that on, I'm going to make a bow with the same raffia. I'm going to take about 3 strands of it and just pull it out and then cut those apart so you have all those strings together, and then we're just going to tie a bow like you tie your shoes. Just go there to the center so you leave some tails to hang down with the ones we tied on with the knot. Just work it out until you get to about the same size loops on the edge, and then we'll be gluing that on. Once you have that made, I'm going to go ahead and put some hot glue underneath that first little knot so it does not move or change places after you glue your bow on. And then we'll take the bow that we made with those tails and put some hot glue there and press that on and hold it till it dries. I took a black button out of my stash. I just wanted to bring the black in from the little bees, put it on the edge so it don't come up through those little holes, and glue that into the center just for a touch of whimsy. I love all these raffia tails. I think it makes it really pretty and pops with the color. If you don't like those, you can trim them up as you want to. I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors and trim them just to be come to the bottom of the edge. I have this little bush in my stash that has the yellow and orange just like the raffia, and it actually has the same texture as raffia, has more of a paper feel, and I thought this would be a great place to put this. So I just cut off 2 of the little flowers that was on it. I'm going to take some hot glue and glue those underneath the bow just to give them a little bit of charm. I'm going to take the larger one on the side hanging off the edge, and that way it will go underneath the button, and you can also see the green color of the leaves. That gives it a little bit more pop. I had a couple of little leaves that come off extra, so I went ahead and took those, put a little hot glue on them, and put them underneath the bow at the top just to give it a little bit of pizzazz. Okay, here's your finished product. I hope you enjoyed this DIY. It was really fun to make. I like how everything turned out, and used the orange and yellow colors. I know these are not traditional springy colors, more fall colors, but I thought this would be pretty any time of year to be in any kind of decor, just to add some whimsy with the bees. DIY number 2, light up bee block decor. For this fun DIY, you'll need one of these small glass blocks that you can put things inside, some Mod Podge and a sponge, some greenery of your choice, also a napkin. I chose this bee theme. You'll need a little set of lights. I got these from Dollar Tree. Also a roll of burlap ribbon and some scissors. We're going to start this DIY off by taking one of these napkins. I picked these up from Joann Fabrics when they were on sale. I think I got the whole pack for maybe $2. There's plenty in here that I can do multiple DIYs with. So we're going to take one out. I'm going to put it on this glass block. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby when it was on clearance for $3.99. I know a lot of people use these for Christmas decorations, but I thought it'd be cute to do one with bees. So I'm going to line it up here and then kind of make an indentation so I know where to cut it. And then I'm going to cut out that rectangle. I didn't want the perforated edges to show, so I went above that and then cut out the shape that we're going to use. But I'm also going to take it and tear it in just a minute, so you don't have to be perfect cutting this out. I wanted to give myself plenty to work with in the rectangle I cut out, because I wanted to maximize how many bees that I got onto the front. So here I'm just trying to line up so I can get as many bees positioned on the front as I can before I start to tear the napkin. Once I get that figured out, I'm just going to take my fingers and rip that haphazardly in that rectangle shape, because you do not want it to be just cut perfectly, because we're going to be Mod Podging this onto the glass. So just make sure you have it ripped. These napkins were 3-ply, so I'm going to pull them apart and just take off the main top piece and discard the other 2 pieces underneath, because we're just going to want that little thin sheet. Next, I'm going to take my Mod Podge. I'm using gloss. It doesn't matter what you use here. We're just using this as a sort of a glue. So we're going to take that and just put a very thin coat over the front of the glass block. And then what we don't use, we're going to wipe off the excess in just a little bit. Then take your napkin piece and lay it over that. It's really fine. So just take your fingers real easy and press that down, making sure you get out the creases and any kind of bubbles or imperfections that you see in it. I messed up a little bit here in the corner, and it's easy just to take your fingers and mash that back down. I like the look of a few creases myself, just so it's not so perfect, but if you want it to be all pressed out, press it out until you get your desired look. After you get that done, you're going to take your Mod Podge and cover the top of the napkin just to seal it all into place, making sure you go over the edges to make sure you have a good seal on those, and then we'll wipe off the excess from that. Just take your sponge brush and dab it in all those little creases and edges to make sure you have good coverage, and then make sure you have good coverage in the middle, and you can take your fingers and rub it over to pop any bubbles that you have underneath. Just make sure that everything is pressed out smooth to your liking. I'm going to take a paper towel now and wipe off the excess that we have around the edge of the block. Just make sure that you don't accidentally touch the napkin that you have Mod Podged on. Just get the Mod Podge that has accumulated on the edges wiped off so you can have a clear line. If you do hit it, just take your finger, mash it down, and or you can also take your sponge brush like I'm doing here and flattening that back out because you want those little rippled effects because it makes it look really pretty. I had this little set of Dollar Tree lights, little fairy lights from Halloween. I thought I would use those out of my stash. While my Mod Podge is drying, I'm going to go ahead and put the batteries in those and get them untangled and ready to put inside. I'm going to take this roll of burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree. I thought this would be really cute to put in with the fairy lights, and because the design on the napkin is bees, I thought this would look a lot like the hive inside and illuminating with the fairy lights. So I'm going to take that, hold the fairy lights with it, and kind of crinkle them inside together, making sure the fairy lights are on the front so it'll be underneath your napkin. Just take your fingers and press that in. If you need help, I went ahead and I took my scissors and pressed that in just a little bit better to make sure it went to the end. Once you get to the end, just snip off that piece of burlap that you have left and cap the end with the little plastic part that comes with it and tuck out your battery pack. I had just a little piece of burlap left on this roll without having to unroll another new one. So I'm going to take it, wrap it around the top of my block, and once I have it mashed down at the top, I'm going to turn it over to the bottom and just glue that down on the bottom. Just make sure you take your little wire that's sticking out on the edge and put it to the side. I had a few little frays on my burlap ribbon. I wanted to snip those off. I did want the edges to be frayed and have that loose look, but I just didn't want the little string sticking out, so I'm going to snip those off with my scissors. Next, I'm going to take this pretty yellow ribbon. I thought that would make the colors come out of the bees and make them pop. I picked this up at Sam's when they had it at Easter, but I thought I would take a little bit of it and wrap it around on top of that burlap and then glue it there to the bottom. Next, I'm going to take my bow maker and just make a bow with several loops and some tails hanging down, tied off with a yellow pipe cleaner. Snip the ends into a dovetail and fluff out your loops. Next, I wanted to take the bow, instead of centering it in the middle at the top, I wanted to put that on the edge so I could make the tails come down the side and the top. So I'm going to put a big dab of glue there on the top and set the bow kind of at an angle, not completely flat on top, so we can work it out and then put some greenery behind it in a minute. I'm just going to fluff my loops and then take those little tails and kind of bend them and work with them since it's a wired ribbon. Put a dab of glue on the top of the block, and if you pinch it together you can't see the glue underneath it. And I'm going to do the same thing on the edge and kind of take my fingers and pull it up a little bit so it has a little bit of wave in that tail. I picked up this boxwood greenery at Walmart, so I snipped off a couple pieces of it. I'm going to put some hot glue on the ends and tuck that in behind the bow. I'm going to put one on each side behind the bow and kind of angle it up behind it. I also picked up this little bush and I had in my craft stash. I just snipped off 2 pieces of it with 3 little beads on it. I'm going to take that, put some glue on the bottom and tuck that in with the greenery just to have a little pop of color to bring out the yellow in the bees and also the yellow in the ribbon. Next, I'm going to show you how it looks once you flip the lights on. I think it looks just like a honeycomb behind it with the burlap. It kind of tricks your eye into thinking that it is a 3D effect with the little bees with the napkins. I love how this turned out with it illuminated. Okay, here's your finished product. I hope you enjoyed this DIY. It would be so easy to change out the napkin and do a completely different theme for any season. Also, I think it looks so pretty lit up here. It just gives it such a 3D effect. It looks like the burlap is the honeycomb that the bees are actually on. And this would add a lot of warmth and charm to any room, and it would work great for a little nightlight. Thanks for crafting along with me today. I hope you enjoyed these adorable bee creations. If you did, please like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any upcoming crafty content. Also, leave me a comment down below to say hi and let me know which one of today's DIYs was your favorite. Until next time, happy crafting!
I enjoyed our time together. Thanks for watching. I linked another video here for more crafting inspiration. Be sure to check it out. Have a great day.